We have this story from the Post-Millennial. DeSantis loses 10 points. Trump gains 13 in latest CNN SSRS presidential poll.
That's correct.
Not that I'm a big fan of CNN polling, but it's a data point. They say a new poll conducted by CNN just days before DeSantis announced that he would be formally announcing. We can see that his numbers are dropping. According to the poll, 53% of Republicans voters say they would consider themselves as currently supporting Trump, while DeSantis garnered only 26%. Compared to the previous data set collected between March 8th through the 12th, DeSantis lost 10 points while Trump gained 13.
Yeah.
I am telling you, when a lot of things that Trump has been doing have been boosting him in the polls, and me personally, I like what he's doing. Going to Ohio.
Yes.
East Palestine, that was absolutely fantastic. Doing the McDonald's bid, like, I know the menu better than you guys.
And then buying everybody McDonald's.
And the funny thing is, you want to win the presidency, you need good policies. Yeah. But you are not selling someone. Look, let's put it this way. If you're selling a refrigerator to somebody and you knock on their door and say, my refrigerator's got 200 watts of pure power with my refrigerator. If someone else walks up and says, you want the best refrigerator you've ever seen in your life? Boom, there it is. Look at that thing, shiny and beautiful. The pizzazz, the bang.
Yeah.
Obviously, you need real policies.
Yes.
But Trump is he's the crazy guy. He's the loud, he's the loud man, the salesman. And DeSantis is the numbers guy. It's just,
and this is important, right? Because what people are going to say is what's important is the quality of the refrigerator. Guys, we're all trying to sell the same refrigerator. The question is who's the better salesman?
Yeah. No, I got to be honest. Trump's refrigerator might be a little bit worse. Maybe. I mean, we saw Swamp Monsters. We saw John Bolton. He's mistakes.
Made some bad picks. Look, I'm not saying Trump is perfect. I guess my main point with all of this is when I see a poll that says DeSantis is falling, I don't regard this with joy. This doesn't make me happy. It's not like when Trump was crushing Jeb Bush or these other politicians who I really dislike. It's not enjoyable for me because I do like DeSantis. I don't think this rivalry is good for the Republican Party. I think it's bad for the conservative movement. But I'd be lying if I sat here and said DeSantis is just as charismatic and Trump and just as capable of exciting people, because it's not true.
Let's do the analogy this way. You've got roommates or family members, and we've all got to agree on which refrigerator we're going to get. Yeah. And you got Ron DeSantis, Trump, and Joe Biden. Joe Biden's refrigerator is like from the 60s. It's broken completely. And he can't even tell you what's going on.
Come on, man.
He's just like, I
got Harry.
When you have questions, he directs you to Kamala Harris. It's just
and you're like, I don't know what this is. And then Ron is giving you this very, very straightforward, quiet, low pitch. And then Trump is giving you this loud, boisterous, we're going to have the best refrigerator, mark my words. And everyone's like, yeah. Screaming. I want that one.
Yeah, well, but hold on. And there's an important point here, which is someone could hear that analogy and still think, I would choose the better fridge and not the better salesman.
You would.
Okay,
that's true.
You would. But this isn't a question of us picking a fridge for our house. This is a question of us picking a refrigerator salesman to sell the fridge to the entire country.
Collectively, by the way.
Exactly. What are people going to buy? Like, what are people going to buy?
And I think part of the criticism of Trump is always, he's not dignified, he's not presidential enough. But I think that's why people relate to him. He doesn't fit a mold. He's exciting. He's funny. He's relatable. In the same way that JFK was sort of this young, like breath of fresh air to his era, and he drew so many people. I think people are drawn to Trump because he represents strength and not having to conform with the kind of stodgy Republican Party of the past. I think people like that change of pace, knowing that they can send him to talk to Vladimir Putin. You can send him out into the world. He will make, he's not 100% perfect all the time, but he does come through on a lot of his promises, and that's what people want.
I'll tell you the most important point. Ron DeSantis' accomplishments are bolstered by a Republican legislature that sends him the bills that he can sign. And if he goes to the presidency, unless the Republicans win every branch, he won't have that. What we need, and what I think we need to be able to rely on, is not policy, but executive action. Firing bureaucrats.
Agreed.
Getting rid of the deep state.
Yeah.
Criminal.
On day one.
On day one.
On day one, by the way.
Immediately.
I feel confident that my best path towards that is Donald Trump. Ron DeSantis can come out and say policy, policy, policy. And I'll say, how are you going to get any of those policies done with Democrats?
That's right.
Obstructing. Unless, of course, in 2024, Republicans win both houses, both chambers.
Which we have a shot at.
Absolutely. If that's the case, well, then policy matters. But if we're talking about the best path forward, it's going to be, we hedge our bets. We want the best case scenario, and that is Trump may not have the best policies because Ron DeSantis really does have a great list of policies. But
Trump's
that's
pretty
also
good, though. He's pretty good.
He's good.
And going
foreign
into
policy is the best.
Is the best we've ever seen.
Right. But Ron DeSantis, his policies are actually the Florida state legislature. It's not just him. So we don't know what we're going to get with the President DeSantis. So my point is, you want policies? Vote for Congress, vote Republicans into Congress and the Senate, make sure they win there, and then Trump signs whatever they give him.
Right.
We're talking about the presidency, the executive action. We're not talking about the legislature.
But it's not just any executive action. It's executive action for the first time. We are literally electing a lame duck president on day one.
Oh, man.
So he is completely unencumbered by anything. He is free to do literally whatever he wants on day one.
Yeah.
And the next 2.5 years, it's all his show because he can't get reelected. That's exactly what we want.
Yeah.
We don't want anybody married to the past. We don't want anybody married to any of the three-letter agencies.
It was sort of what he struggled with in his first term, which is that how do I
do both?
How do I get my second term? And
He
now it
doesn't have to
matter.
do both.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what the country wants,
It's
exactly
Trump
what the
unleashed.
country needs. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then whoever his vice president is, wherever that person that he picks is going to be, that's going to be a very important person to move on to take his policies for the future to get Republicans reelected then. But I cannot imagine a world that we don't want him walking in on day one and signing 167 executive orders overturning the disaster that Biden has been for the previous 4 years.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the country wants right now. And that's why he's doing so well in the polling.
And you were saying that he can't pick DeSantis to be his vice president. I know a lot of people have floated a Trump DeSantis ticket, but they're both from Florida.
For multiple reasons. They're both from Florida for multiple reasons. He's running. I mean, this is a loyalty issue. I mean, President Trump is big on loyalty. And this level of disloyalty really takes him out of that competition. And also both being from Florida, and we need every single electoral college vote going into 2024 as possible.
So, so who do you think he's going to pick? Who would Trump pick to be his VP?
Do not tell President Donald John Trump what to do.
But if you
Nobody
could make a
tells
suggestion,
him. Nobody tells him what to do.
but if you could make a suggestion, who would be your pick for VP?
Today, I had a few ideas a few months ago, and today, I actually have no idea. The issue that we have to take into account too is you are absolutely right. We were talking earlier about the general election, and we're talking about suburban women and how we're going to lose a lot of them kind of no matter what for a sundry of different reasons. What I like looking at and focusing on is the growth that we have seen in the Black community, specifically Black men. I put a clip up a couple of days ago about Ice Cube, and I'm talking Ice Cube like Mr. NWA, like Cube, literally railing on the Democrat Party and saying that Democrats have been in charge for the past 40 years and they have done absolutely nothing for the Black community in the last 40 years. And then I saw some other polling that had Joe Biden down 40 points amongst Black men.
Wow.
I want to point to 2020, a couple of years ago. President Trump got the highest percentage of votes for Black men in modern history for a Republican at 18.7%. If he is able to ascertain 25% or more, those suburban white women that we may not pick up will be supplemented by Black men that do and will vote for President Trump moving forward. And when I see Cube leaving, I'm like, this is getting very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and obviously, if Black men are choosing Trump, these liberal women, they're racist.
Oh!
Unless they do. They need to listen to the voices of the marginalized
Voices of
communities.
people. You have to
True.
listen to people of color, their lived experience.
So-
Right.
exactly.
It's to tell us what to do and how to think.
Are you hinting that Tim Scott from South Carolina is the best choice for VP?
Yeah, I think he would have I think he has a fair shot.
Okay.
I think, again, anybody that's not from Florida, we'll have to see kind of who shakes out. But literally, I'm not going to even begin.
You don't even want to guess.
I can't. I literally can't guess. I think that's going to be solely up to President Trump, and I think he's going to pick a great person. He'll pick the right person. And again, a few months ago, I absolutely would have guessed. But then now you're seeing people running against him, and I don't know how he is going to handle that in the long run.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Again, that's why I always lit it with two. Like, you don't tell him what to do. I mean, let's just be honest.
I like Tim Scott.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, and I think we talked about so much before the show, but one of the points was it won't be DeSantis because he wants an advantage in another state. So any other person,
And
Kristi
Scott's
Noem,
announcement video had much more power. I mean, you're saying that DeSantis came off confused and sort of timid and
tired.
That's not the case with what Tim Scott is
It was
putting
not
out
the
right
case.
now.
Well, I'd also like to ask something, just pertaining to what you said a moment ago. Did you say that Trump got a historic percentage of the black vote in 2016 or 2020?
That was, it was 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
2020. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And was
Yeah,
that,
this
I'm
last
curious,
one,
was that up?
18.7
Was that up from 2016?
Yes, it was
Or
up from
down?
2016,
Okay.
and I'm talking specifically about black men.
Black men.
18.7% of black men, and I found that to be such a fascinating stat because that's literally how we make up the difference. I'm convinced of that at this point.
I think Wall Street Journal ran a story saying that if the Democrats dip below 80% of the black vote, they can't win.
It's actually mathematically impossible.
Yeah. That's
It's mathematic because that's their base.
Yeah.
Literally, that's their base.
But even just 21% Republicans just win.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's why if you look at what happened with Biden.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just read a piece of information that shocked me. You said if it goes below 80%, the Democrats can't win because 80% of black men supported Joe Biden, which was down from Hillary at 82%. So it looks like you're probably right. They are really approaching that.
It's trending. And by the way, he's doing abysmally. Joe Biden right now is doing abysmally bad amongst black men today. And I think it's a bunch of reasons why. I mean, it's always inflation. It's always the economy. When I'm in a barbershop, man, it's absolutely hilarious to listen to people that were before like, I can't stand Trump. And now they're like, actually, Trump, I kind of really wish I had that back.
Kind of saying some interesting stuff now.
It's really interesting, and it's a change. Imagine you have to raise the price of every head that you cut, and then that eats into your gas money. Gas money's up, inflation is up, and then fewer people come get their haircut because it's more expensive. And now they're looking around, they're like, just get me back to the way it was when President Trump was here.
Yeah.
Well, it's also wild to see how quickly this dropped. The figures I'm having here showed that black men voted for Obama at a rate of about 95%.
Oh, yeah.
By the time it was on to Hillary Clinton, it was 82%. I got to say, the fact that fewer black men voted for Biden than Hillary,
You're nailing it.
like what appeal? I could sort of understand, like, Biden was with the Obama campaign, so there's an identity politics angle there, and black people do tend to vote Democrat for sure.
Overwhelmingly
but
for the
Hillary,
past 60 years.
like, who genuinely feels that Hillary Clinton cares about the black community? It's shocking to me that anyone in America does.
Well, because she doesn't, and quite frankly, neither does Joe Biden.
But at the time, a vote for Hillary was a vote against Trump.
And I get that. It's still shocking to me that many black
At the
men
time,
voted for
before they
Hillary
knew
Clinton.
better.
Yeah. But it's also shocking to me that, like, Joe Biden got even less of the black male vote than Hillary did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
think
they're trending in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I think
They're scared.
I mean, you could probably speak to this, but there is a disenfranchisement from a lot of different groups, but with black men with the Democratic Party because it has failed them on so many levels.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's always the economy. And I was talking to, this is really funny, actually. I was talking to a buddy of mine. He's from Atlanta, and he's absolutely going to vote for President Trump here in 2024. And he said, it'll be the first time I vote Republican, but I voted for Trump. He started a company. He's doing well. He just started making money. He's the first person to go to college in his family. He's beginning to make some generational wealth. And he told me, he goes, bruh, I just got this money. And you want to tax that 50%, and I'm just now getting, he goes, you lost me at, I'm going to raise ta. I'm out. And so you're looking at kind of this next generation of people that are like, yeah, this just isn't working out for me like it had been in the past, or like I was told it was supposed to work out. And again, this is why you don't ever give your allegiance as a body to any one thing or to any one group ever. When I talk to a lot of my black friends as well, they don't care about Republican or Democrat. They don't care anymore. This is actually like not even a thing.
Yeah.
What they want is government to work for them and their best interest. And they don't want to feel like they're just being overlooked and thrown to the side. And the rising tide raises all boats, and they want to be treated just like everybody else and to be better off now than they were before.
I just can't understand this. You know, being from Chicago, having 100 years of Democrat rule.
Right.
And problem after problem after problem, nothing ever getting solved. I have to wonder if what's actually happening is that people who grow up in Chicago eventually just give up on the political system or leave. And then the young people who are there are like, it'll change when I'm old enough and I can vote.
And it doesn't.
They keep voting for the same policies, the same people. I'm wondering at what point in the United States does the black community say, hey, wait a minute, the Democrats actually haven't done anything for us.
So they've also gotten away with painting the Republican Party as being racist.
Yeah.
And then someone like me comes around, decides to run for Congress. So let's talk about my district back in Houston, Texas. I live in a district that President Trump would have won by 23 points. I ended up winning by 30 points. In the Republican primary, I beat out 9 white guys. In the general election, I beat out a white guy by 30 points. Trump plus 20 district, I outperformed the president. I like to say that every now and again by a little bit. And it's a white majority district. In the Republican primary, 75% of the voters were white. And they voted for me overwhelmingly. And why? Because I was the best candidate. That's it. That's literally what our party is. I get to wake up every day and live Martin Luther King's dream. I'm literally being judged by the content of my character, not by the color of my skin. So people like me come around and we look around, I'm just like, actually, I'm just here because I just want a better America. I don't even view myself as Black or African American. First of all, I'm an American. I'm a combat veteran. I am a father. I am a West Point graduate. I'm an Ivy League graduate. And we can go all the way down the line before I get to Black guy.
I'm a cool guy.
I try to be, right? I try to be. I'm a father. You know, I'm all these things. And I like the idea of our party not playing identity politics anymore. And then realizing that you see people like me, you see people like Byron Donalds, you see people like Senator Scott. We are all winning in white majority areas, by the way, people. So you can't call us racist anymore.
Obama won twice. And they still try and play this.
A white supremacist country that had a black president. It's
Twice.
weird. 2 times.
Yep.
Twice.
No other country in the entire world would elect a minority to be the head of their country twice by beating a Vietnam War hero
Yeah.
and the Clintons and Mitt Romney, who's like the liliest, like whitest dude ever.
He is the head of the Mormon Church.
He gets no whiter than that. You know what I mean?
Do you get pushback for being a Republican
All the time.
all the time?
Yeah.
What do you say? Or like your kids, or I guess they're pretty young, but
I love it.
yeah.
I love it.
It fuels you like the conflict.
Oh, I love it because I'm antithetical to the person that I'm supposed to be. Yeah. They look at somebody like me, they automatically assume that I'm a Democrat, and they don't ask any questions about my background or anything like that. And then if you actually heard my background, you knew where I came from. You come from a military family, grew up in the church, you find out very quickly, why would this guy be a Democrat?
No, exactly.
Except they're stereotyping you by the color
by the way I look.
So, but this is
And
a very...
Democrats do that, not Republicans.
This is a very real thing, right? So I live in Georgia. I've lived in Georgia about the past 8 years now. The area that I'm in has a high black population. And this could just be because most of the friends I make are through my social circle at church, but they're not socially liberal people by any means. And if you look at the polling data, especially on gay and trans issues, black people are far more conservative than white people.
The black community oftentimes has allowed the benevolent white liberal to convince them that they have more in common than they think, when in actuality, they have nothing in common. Now, what they will tell the black community is Black Lives Matter, and we're here for you, and we're here to give people handouts and give you stuff. That's what they say all the time. But by Black Lives Matter, the only thing they do is change their Facebook profile picture to black.
A black square.
They don't do anything. They've never done anything for black people. They don't even have black friends.
Would you think that some of their policies have hurt black people?
That's why they get so mad when a white person goes, I have black friends. The reason they get mad at that isn't because that's not an argument against racism. It's because it's not true for them. None of them know any black people. They actually don't.
95 crime bill, Joe Biden. Disproportionately put black people, black men specifically, in prison for cocaine versus crack. Why? Because cocaine was the more affluent white drug, crack was not.
Ask Hunter.
And you I said this in a hearing.
Oh my gosh, that's brutal.
Shout out to Notorious Big. He famously said when talking about the only ways to get out the hood, he goes, either you're slanging crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot. Hunter Biden has no jump shot. But he be slanging crack rock, if you know what I mean.
Man.
And so Joe Biden is responsible for that legislation that disproportionately locked up black people, and yet he is now the president for the group of people that black people overwhelmingly vote for. That's a joke to me.
Hey, I'll phrase something somewhat unfairly, but are you helping a child when the child screams that they want more ice cream? Are you helping them by giving them ice cream, or are you helping them by having them go out, exercise, do some push-ups with you? Look, kids are going to be like, I don't want to eat my vegetables.
That's right.
And you say you got to eat your vegetables because we
It's
know
good for you.
it's good for you. And I feel like what ends up happening often with the Republicans versus the Democrats is the Democrats will offer you the ice cream with extra fudge and the Republicans will offer
Reparations.
Exactly, but they never actually do it.
But they can't do
They
it.
dangle it, right. And the Republicans say something like, we are going to give you the ability to work hard so you can fulfill your dreams. And then all of these voters, I'm not singling out any race, I mean, all of the people who vote Democrat are just like, I don't want to work. We're seeing polls now, Gen Z doesn't want to work.
Crazy.
Well, I'm not surprised, but I don't understand what else you do with your life.
Yeah,
Yes.
I want to make one point. You said that what Republicans say, the Democrats say we're going to give you free stuff, and the Republicans say we're going to give you good policy so you can work hard and live out your dreams. It tends to be more like the Democrats going, we're going to give you free stuff, and the Republicans going, we're going to pass good policy.
Back to the argument. That's the argument you were just making. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's like
Horrible
what we're
salesman.
saying is already more boring in a sense, even though it's more reasonable.
saying it in
And then we say it in a boring way on top of it.
To be fair, they do also have people like Nancy Pelosi.
That's
And
right.
so when
Because
she,
I'm
And Chuck
going to give
Schumer.
you free stuff.
And Chuck Schumer.
and Schumer,
Yeah,
right?
he's
And they're not very, charismatic at all. But neither is Mitch McConnell. But yeah, no, what I tend to see is it's like mom versus dad. It's dad being like, look, you got to mow the lawn. Life's not fair.
Yes.
But it builds character, makes you stronger, makes you more capable. And then the Democrats and the mom being like, I'll sneak you an ice cream.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
But well, to be fair, the mom never shows up with the ice cream.
That's exactly right.
she just says it. So you
And,
like
and
her.
that's exactly kind of back to the argument. They know that they are hemorrhaging black male voters, and so now what's the push now? More free stuff. Let's see if we can sway them to our side by giving them free stuff. And now I think we're getting to the point to where we're not falling for it anymore. Like I don't believe you. You're exactly right. You're gonna promise us ice cream, and then you're not gonna deliver it.
The reparations thing comes around every 4 years.
Every 4 years.
Well, this is
like
this is what they're
clockwork.
doing while they're panicking.
Oh, the kid
Do you
take off.
remember this?
That's the level of pandering that we're. It's like
Pelosi had the scarf on when Pelosi and all the Democrats were kneeling and they had those like African scarves
so
on. It was
ridiculous.
okay, come on.
So ridiculous.
Come on now.
I think that Democrats are running out of free stuff to offer that outweigh the cons, right?
Yeah.
Like their voters can see that there is nothing in these promises. Even if you get a small amount of money or some kind of benefit, ultimately your community is still hurting. And this is true for a lot of people across the U.S.
That's correct.
I mean, the example we always get is the effect social welfare has had on the black family, which has been
100%.
terrible. It's been awful.
Horrible. All Democrat policies, by the way.
But
Yeah.
because they hate the family. It's not just the black family. They hate all families. They want you to be
Exactly.
dependent on the government.
So I'm here right now. My family. I talked to my family. We all go to West Point. We all served our country. Why is that? I had two parents. My parents did not play games. My parents made sure that we went to church. They cared about where we went to school. And by the way, this isn't like about black or white people. This is about like you show me any individual that grew up in the house like I grew up in, regardless of the color of their
it's
skin.
a functioning nuclear family.
Bingo.
Yes. And well, and this is huge, right? Because
And they want
White-
to tear that down. By the way, they want to destroy that.
of course, they've wanted to, I mean, from the get-go, right? Because on some level, their values are satanic. They hate the family. They hate anything that requires love or any level of goodness. I don't think they conceive of it that way logically, but family bothers them. And when you look at the data, the white family is unfortunately very much catching up to those rates of illegitimacy. The rates are increasing everywhere now with out-of-wedlock births
Sadly.
and fatherless homes. And one thing not a lot of people consider is that with the black family falling apart and then the white family following, this is often linked to social welfare policies, and that played a role. But the Brookings Institute released a pretty interesting analysis where they were attributing it to abortion and Roe v. Wade and the removal of the social expectation that pregnancy meant you were going to have a child and that the man should be there to take care of the child.
Interesting.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And
I
then-
mean,
go ahead.
No, you go.
Also, more democratic
all the time,
policies,
you
right?
go.
But also another like unfathomably evil democratic policy. Like, yes, let's kill babies.
Then Seamus just goes.
Yeah.
And then there's again the disproportionate impact that it has on the black community. 1 in 3 abortions are at the hands of a black woman. 1 in 3. And yet we are 13% of the population. Now, look, I don't care if you're pro-life or pro-choice. You cannot be satisfied with the disproportionate amount of a group of people not existing on this earth because we have a culture that allows that to happen. That's a problem. And Democrats won't talk about that.
In New York City, a black baby's more likely to be aborted than born.
Yes, there are more in New York City. There are more aborted black babies than born.
And Margaret Sanger was clear about why she was starting Planned Parenthood, by the way.
Very crystal
Planned
clear.
Parenthood is like,
crystal clear.
We just ignore it. Did you ever see the commercial that Lena Dunham was in? And she's like, yeah, there's some sketchy history, but we just ignore it.
It's so sketchy.
It's like,
what?
It's like saying like Nazi Germany had some sketchy stuff going on. Like she was an open eugenicist. She was an open eugenicist who wanted to eliminate what she saw as lesser races.
Yes, and that was black
she's
people.
letting me live my single child-free life. She obviously cares about
back
me.
to your point too about how you say things and how you make arguments as well, and why the Democrats are very good at this.
Yeah.
So we overturned Roe v. Wade. The only thing that happened overturning Roe v. Wade in the Dobbs case was that we returned the issue back to the individual states. We live in a constitutional republic. That's how this whole thing works. All we did. That's all we did. We didn't ban anything. What the Democrats do? No, that's a mouthful. Republicans, we live in a constitutional republic, and the only thing that we did was return the rights back to this, which is true. What did they say? Women's rights. You hate women.
Well, you see what
they ran on that and they won on that.
And Republicans didn't go.
Well, that's not true.
I think it's crazy that I don't want you to have to murder your child is hating women.
Well, also, and Republicans retreated, right? Because they just assumed people weren't going to be willing to side with them on the pro-life message. So instead of hitting the messaging as hard as they possibly could to be persuasive, they tried to hide from the fact that Roe was overturned. It's like, you guys just did the one effective thing I've seen Republicans do in 20 years. And you're not going to bring that up when you're running for office. Like, we have had a massive victory, and you're not going to talk about that because you're scared some people won't like it. That was a massive blunder in my eyes.
Well, I thought it was where Donald Trump struggled a little bit in the town hall with CNN because they were trying to push him. Would you, federally ban abortion or whatever? He should have just said it's a state's issue. We saw that.
No,
just hit that point over and over again.
It's a states' rights issue.
Well, what he should have said was based. Yes, I will. And then I'm like, he's got my vote.
But you know what I mean?
They
Instead,
needed
he
to
was
own
like,
it.
well, I can't say.
So when Trump was asked by Megyn Kelly about calling women fat pigs, he says, only Rosie O'Donnell.
Greatest line ever.
He didn't run away from it. He owned it.
Yeah.
Republicans should be like, yeah, actually, we did support President Trump. We are glad to see the states now have the right to pass legislation.
Exactly.
And you may notice that in many of the blue states, they've been more accepting and permissive of abortion. And in red states, where the majority of the people, that's called democracy, isn't it?
And if you don't like it, you can vote with your feet. And you can live in a different state that's more palatable to your beliefs.
But you own it and you explain to the people why. When the Republicans hide from it, it creates the impression that it was the wrong thing to do and they're ashamed of it.
Well, I think we have to own it in a much different way. I hear what you're saying about the fact that the Democrats are going, this is about women's rights. The Republicans should be saying this is about children's rights or babies' rights or not allowing babies to die. But instead, because Democrats aren't saying, well, federal power is being challenged. So for the answer to be, well, states have rights now is the wrong response. They're going at this from the angle of making it a very emotional issue. And they should. They should. Because it is emotional and that's how you persuade people. Boom. But Republicans won't. Republicans are like, let's have a conversation about the legal precedent that allowed for this to occur and why you should be okay with it. Come on, the average person doesn't care.
Do you think that there's an effective way for Republicans to argue this issue emotionally? I feel like often.
Yes.
I feel like
it's like the easiest one to argue effectively.
Get shut
Babies
down.
are dying.
Yeah, but they'll say, well, it's not a baby. It's not real. It's
Don't
a fetus.
argue a
count.
fetus, argue a baby.
Yes.
So
I recognize that, but I feel like any moderate who leans left or progressive would say, like, you guys are being crazy. It's a fetus.
Nope. The Republicans are just bad at what they do.
Yeah.
I told this story before, but it bears repeating for our congressman friend here. A friend of mine who's a liberal in New York City, not very politically active, but just kind of a normie. When Democrats were voting on the restrictionless abortion, I think it was Colorado, but there was also a Democrat bill federally that would allow abortion at any stage of pregnancy if there was a medical issue. And when I brought this up and said, there's a whole lot we can get into as pertaining to the medical issue point, but it does allow for terminating the life of a baby that can survive on its own. And he said, that's not true. Mm-hmm. They would never do that. And I grabbed my phone and I pulled it up. I said, read that line. And he reads and he goes, something's not right. That can't be correct. And I said, well, look, whether you think I'm right or wrong, let me ask you, do you think that a woman, let's say she can't have the baby, should they find a way to deliver that baby and remove it, let it live, or should they just kill it? And he's like, well, yeah, they should find any way they can have the baby live. Oh. He's like, but I think they're saying that if the woman can't carry the baby anymore, she can have an abortion because of a medical issue. And I said, So in the circumstance where the baby can survive
Yeah.
and the pregnancy can be terminated and the mother saved, why kill the baby? And then he was just like, I don't believe that. There's something's wrong. Something doesn't make
right
sense.
here.
And so the point is, regular people need to hear that.
Yeah.
That's the position from where Republicans should be arguing, saying like, look, when Donald Trump was asked about banning abortion, he gave a brilliant answer. He says it depends on where the deal is. Some people think 6 weeks. Some people think 8 weeks. We'll have to see what the deal is, the compromise. He is a deal maker.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the American people need to be told. We're not talking about forcing women to give birth or whatever that weird nonsense line is, because it doesn't really make sense anyway.
Makes no sense.
There is a baby. The baby is in the woman. Now let's try and protect the rights of the woman and the child. If the child can survive on its own, I ask you this, why would we permit it to be killed?
Perfect.
So, and I'll add this. Obviously,
Perfect.
everyone here knows my stance on abortion. The audience does. Completely against it. I think the Republican Party needs to be completely against it. That said, when you look at the way the parties operate as they currently stand, the Republican position is anywhere ranging from no abortion should ever be allowed, which based, that's the correct take, to there should be some restrictions on abortion. The Democratic position is there should be zero restrictions on abortion. That is the actual Democratic Party
and that's
platform.
insane.
Completely. I mean, that is your
Up to
average
birth.
person.
Up to
Exactly.
birth. That's insane.
In Colorado, up to birth.
Yes.
Which means,
They've
based on
argued-
that definition, your average person is far more in line with the Republican approach here.
And I'm a good
fact.
example of that. And we've had a couple different leftists on this show. And the funny thing about the conversation is that they know they can't answer it without looking bad. So they try to wiggle around the answer. But I say, do you think a woman should be able to terminate a viable baby, to kill it, to abort it at 9 months? And they go, well, I mean, you got to understand, we're talking about, I'm like, no. Simple question. And they go, yes, she said it's her body. And I'm like, there it is.
That's crazy.
It is.
Insanity.
That's crazy.
If the baby has to come out of the woman, it's there. Why kill it in the process?
Right.
Because that's the whole point.
Perhaps. Yeah.
It's the whole point. If it wasn't a human, they wouldn't be killing it.
And this is the problem I have, because I come from a libertarian perspective on this pertaining to government rights and limitations,
Right.
and recognize we've got two human lives we're dealing with.
Yes.
The left seems to just say whatever they want to say so they can get the right to kill the baby.
With no accountability for the other life.
Right.
Zero.
I'm reminded of Governor Bill Inslee of Washington. He sent this letter to Idaho's Governor Brad Little saying, I'm asking you to veto your abortion trafficking law. And this was Little's, the law on like if you transport a minor out of state for an abortion without telling your parents, you are in trouble. He was like, because if the women of Washington travel to your state and have to get an abortion, you will persecute them. It's like, yes, why would they travel across the border to do that when Washington is a pro-abortion state? But instead, it's like, because you might affect my government, your government must change to fit my rules.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.